All right, Hafide guys, and we're back with another episode of the One Micronesia Podcast. And on this episode, we're talking about an event for a great cause. And here with me today, I'm with the one and only the Frank Crank Camacho here, as well as brother Matt from Guam Time to talk about this amazing event. Guys, first things first, thank you so much and welcome to the podcast.
Dude, finally, man. Dude, I thought you were not my friend, bro, because you never wanted to have me on the podcast. Nah, I'm just messing with you. Dude, thanks. Thanks. Huge fan of the show and man, always appreciate the love.
So talking to you guys who are really busy on both sides to doing their part and then putting something like this together. We're talking about the 24-hour run walk for Guam's homeless, and what an event that this is, and especially let's talk about what it's for. The proceeds of this will go towards a great cause. So let's talk about how this. Let's start with how the idea came about.
Yeah, dude. So, yeah, where do I start? I was, I picked up. I'm not a runner. Running is definitely a really good supplement of training for what I'm gonna do. Getting ready for fights and for competition. And one day I was running and I just felt like I had no endpoint. No, usually I would say, okay, I'm gonna run from Adelup and then I'm gonna run from Adelup to wherever, and then I'm gonna come back. But this one time that I was running, I just kept running and with no endpoint. And people call it a runner's high, or I don't know what you want to call it, but I just started thoughts where I was just in the zone, And honestly, it really Forrest Gump's my favorite movie of all time, and it really felt like the scene out of Forrest Gump where I just kept running, and it was just like I just had no idea I was just running. I mean, I didn't run like a marathon or anything. I think I ran like 10 or 12 miles that day, but it was nothing that I've never run that distance before. And I was just thinking, I'm a huge David Goggins fan. If you don't know who David Goggins is, he's like a super motivational freaking dude, Navy SEAL, the ultra marathon runner, just out of this world, crazy human being, right? And I just thought, I just wanted to do something like personally to test myself, right? Yeah, physically or more so like on the mental side of it. I was like, maybe I want to go do this 24-hour freaking run walk thing and just try to clock in as much hours as I can get, or as much miles as I can get in within 24 hours, And I was like, and then I ran into an interview on the link. It was of this homeless veteran that he was on the show with Chris and Sabrina. And man, he just answered a lot of misconceptions that I had with homelessness. And I started doing some research, and I was like, holy moly, this is very, very complex. The misconceptions of just thinking that people choose to be homeless or whatever, but it's like really, it's so complex. And the reality of it is a lot of people are just a paycheck away, a hospital bill away, a house fire away, a death, a depression away from being homeless, and that's the reality of it. And then especially when you add COVID on top of that, right, it gets even more complex, and then of course you have addiction, you have drugs, there's so many factors, so complex, but it's a subject and an issue that needs we need to spread awareness about, right? And educate, because man, within 24 hours, 48 hours of just Googling, I was able to find a lot of information on our brothers and sisters that are experiencing homelessness, and not by choice. So it's very complex. It's such a sensitive issue. And I was just thinking, hey man, I don't have $1 million. I don't got $1 billion to help my cellos out, my fellow islanders, but I got 2 strong feet and a will, to somehow spread awareness and to educate. So that's when I hit up my boy Matt, dude. I was like, hey Matt, Guam Time, this is what you do. You're a promotional you come from a promotional background, and man, this is your thing, dude. You know what I mean? And I know you're totally down to freaking to come walk with me and whatever. But uh, let's do, if you're down, let's do something that we can really have a strong impact on. And man, right off the bat, when I told him the idea, he was on board. And you know, I had no real expectations of how we can raise funds and awareness. But man, we are with the help of Matt and Guam Time, dude, we've raised so much, way more money that we've that I expected for the Guam Homeless Coalition, who we're working with, and 100% of the proceeds. But Matt could definitely get into that even more. But it's just been crazy journey, and there's no turning back.
So go ahead, let's talk about the collaboration.
So I'm doing this with this thing right here. Yeah, so like Frank said, when he approached me, right away I was intrigued and on board with the event. One, just because of the challenge, and two, where it's going. Me personally, I want to say, I've played sports my whole life, so I had to run for rugby and other sports, but I got into long distance running about a year and a half ago. And one of my normal routes is Teason. And I'll never forget, for those of you who run Teason, you can do anywhere, depending on the amount of in and outs you do, 3 miles to 12 miles, 15 miles, depending on how many loops you do. I'll never forget, one day I arrived at 4:30 a.m. And this was when COVID first hit and we started doing food drives. And it blew my mind how many miles and miles and miles of cars there were lined up just to receive a small bit of canned goods. And we hear that the island's struggling, we hear that people are going through tough times, but that was my first experience seeing it firsthand. I kept running on my normal route. I did about 8 miles that day, and I did my normal route, and I was blown away how there were cars the entire way just lining up at 4 a.m. Some of them probably waited for easily 5 or 6 hours just to get a small bag of food. So that kind of intrigued Guam Time to kind of do more stuff focused on volunteer and nonprofits. So we do have a page that's focused on that. But when Frank brought this idea up, it was a perfect scenario. I felt, what better way, we could continue to promote our local nonprofits, but what better way to kind of bring awareness and to raise money? Like Frank said, with our sponsors and the online donations combined, I thought we would get a couple thousand at most. We're currently at over $8,000 in donations from sponsors and the community. I just checked it right before this interview, and if we could get to 10, that's like amazing. The last thing for me is, Frank could go in and talk about a little more about the event, but the one thing I want to say is, during this week, what we really want to do is promote the event, but spread awareness. So if you continue to follow Frank's or the Guam Time social media, we're going to be filtering out a lot of different statistics that we've been given through the Guam Homeless Coalition. So, it's great we're raising money for this 1 week and this one day, but our main goal is that we really hope people understand more about what's happening to our local community, our neighbors, those living on the streets, how old they are. I think the one that kind of broke my heart the most is to see kids from birth to 5 years old, how the percentage of them that live on the streets. And, it's things like that, to the ethnicity, to the main villages that are hurting, programs that we could help our homeless community. I think if we could continue to spread awareness and then raise money and raise or get donations in the process, I think that's the main goal for this event.
It's crazy. And I'm looking at the stats right now, and I think that's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you guys, because I know Frank mentioned that this whole it kind of promotes fitness at the same time, but at the same time we're doing awareness. And I think for everybody who's watching, especially the FAS citizens who watch the podcast, to see that there are FAS citizens out there who are hurting as well. Not everybody's doing good. Some are just, during COVID, they couldn't just, make ends meet. So they fell into the stats here, it was crazy. And it's also the reason why I brought you guys on here is the the inclusion of FAS citizens to the stats here. I know you guys got the stats from the Guam Homeless Coalition, but it was just crazy to see that you guys aren't only doing this for the the people here on Guam, but you guys are including other people from other ethnicity who are here who also fell in this category. So that's one of the reasons why I want to bring you guys up here and to talk about this amazing event that goes to support not only, it supports everybody pretty much.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like, man, like the show One Micronesia. You know what I mean? Like, um, it's just hard to see, or it's just it really touches home when someone needs help, and we can, we can. So, and it's crazy because I said it probably earlier today, but man, we like a lot of people are just one paycheck away, one hospital bill away, one traumatic event away from homelessness, man, eviction. And then aside from that, like the homelessness being so complex, there's not affordable housing is very rare to find, you know what I mean? So it's so complex, and I just really urge people to continue on, like what Matt was saying, with not just this one day event, but to continue to educate yourselves and to continue to spread awareness. The misconceptions that all homelessness is really tied to just people that are like addicted to drugs. Like, man, that's a big misconception. Like I'm sure there's a lot of people that are homeless that are just super mamala, you know what I mean, and just really need help. So and we're able to help. So I'm just really glad to that everyone is able to step in and do their part. Again, thank you to the media, to all the individual donors, and man, to the people, the donating sponsors for this event. It's a lot of them, man, right off the bat, just didn't even hesitate at all and said, "Hey, we're in." And it's so cool to see, and maybe we continue that on.
Yeah, I think another misconception when you see these numbers, I think the other one that kind of stood out to both Frank and I were, yes, there may be people who choose to be homeless for various reasons. They're dealt a bad hand of cards, things just didn't work out, or maybe there's just a lifestyle they choose. But for most part, a lot of these people are actually suffering. They may not know the programs of how to get better. Another statistic that really caught my eye was in 1 year, from 2018 to 2019, the amount of homeless that were documented that had severe, not just slight or medium, but severe mental illness increased by 114% in 1 year. So that just shows that these people, we could help them through money and other stuff, but we need to educate them and really bring them into these programs that could, kind of bring them back into the community, and they could be a part and like get jobs and understand how they could cope with their illness. Because I think mental illness is another stigma, but at the end of the day, it's an illness. Like if it's a headache, if you have a headache, you take a Motrin or an Advil. If you're suffering from mental health, there's different medications and different programs that you could follow. So I think that's a big one we wanted to highlight. The last one for me is that the Guam Homeless Coalition told Frank and I, donating food and money is great. Continue to food, money, and clothes. But I think the big one is that we didn't even think about is hygiene supplies. A lot of people, when they donate, they don't think about donating shampoo, soap, deodorant, feminine products, all these things. I mean, think about it. If you give a homeless person $5 or $10, that could really only buy them some food. It really can't cover some of those hygiene supplies. If you go to a grocery store and just get 2 or 3 of those items, you're already at $10 or more. So if you are thinking of donating, and maybe you don't feel comfortable donating money, or you've already donated clothes, something we would highly recommend is, if you see these people on the street, give them a bag of hygiene supplies or drop it off to the Salvation Army. I think that's something that they could definitely use more of, especially during these times.
Or how can people go about participating in this event?
You could just head to guamtime.net. We had, you can see the amount there. I think we're at 2.8 thousand on there, and then but plus the sponsorship money. 100% of what's contributed online goes directly towards the Guam Homeless Coalition. If you feel more comfortable writing a check, you don't want to do the whole online payment, totally understandable. You could make out a check and drop it off to the Guam Homeless Coalition or drop it off to the Salvation Army. Drop off locations for any type of goods. I know we recommended hygiene goods, but if you want to just drop off clothes or canned goods or anything, the Salvation Army admin office, which is in Teadsden, those would be the main ones leading up to. But again, if during the event, which Frank will go into more about the event itself, but if you see us on the side of the road, you know, whether it's just a honk or you know, take a photo, spread awareness. I think the main thing is anything you see on social media, if you could just share it on your page and just help spread awareness, because it's great we're raising money, but if we could continue to draw attention to this much needed topic, I think that's really where the success of the event is going to happen.
For sure. And to add on to that, you know, I think another great way that they can contribute to the event is to take 10-15 minutes of their time and just Google and do some research on homelessness. That really just opened my eyes to a lot of things. And share, you know what I mean? Just share the information that you find, you know, whether it's at the dinner table or whether it's with your significant other, or whether it's through a sharing via a tweet or an Instagram story post, you know. So just share and do your part and you know, educate yourselves.
That's for true. I mean, right when I saw those stats for on, you know, the Matt posted on Guam Time Instagram, I was just, you know, I was just shocked. You know, it hit me with those numbers, and you would never think that we will have those numbers here on the island.
Crazy. Yeah, like a misconception, right? Of like, oh, how can you be homeless? You could just stay with family. But you know, it's way more complex and more complicated of a situation than that is, you know, like disagreements, mental issue, you know, like mental health issues, just a lot of different factors that go into a lot of these things, you know, and really all it takes is just a few minutes of your time to dive into it, to research it and to educate yourselves.
Exactly. I mean, like they always said, there's always two sides to a story. You know, if you can't just see somebody on the side of the road and just automatically judge or think that, oh, that's because, you know, they don't want to work and stuff like that. There has to be a reason why they're out there. You know, they were probably an application short away from a job, you know, stuff like that. So it's stuff like this that like you said in the beginning, the interview, that we need to have this awareness. People should learn more about this. And like you said, 10 minutes of your time to look it up, you know, go find out some stats.
Because like another thing too, like you know, when you're experiencing homelessness, like it must be difficult to find a job, and then when you do find a job, adequate transportation to your job is a whole nother thing. And then when you have, and then aside from that, like even if you have a hard time getting a job because you don't have an address that you could put on the application, you know what I mean? You don't have a phone to contact, you know, you don't have you don't have showers, you know, like it's just it's just a very tough spot for someone to endure, you know, and I feel like we're able bodies to be able to help and assist our essentially really our brothers and sisters.
All right. Well, guys, times are definitely running low here. Like, thank you guys so much for what you guys are doing. You know, it started from an idea of just a run or a walk, and then now including our community in helping them out, and it just blew up this big event that people are looking forward to. And so, what a collaboration you guys have gotten going, and what an event that's going to happen. So, thank you guys so much for that.